Hello, 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 hello. Hello, how are you? What's happening in your part of the world? Just please say hello to me in the chat so I know who's in here. Use the chat, not the Q&A. Hello, Sophia. Nice to see you. Hello, Safina. Nice to see you. Isra, Carlo, Oluwatayo, Ifunanya. Sorry, Ifunanya. Hiba, Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Setam. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Jotan from the USA. Hello, Safina. Safina's a big fan, apparently. That's good. Well, hopefully we can get you across the line. That's the whole point of E2 language, to get you across the line. Cool. We've just got 1 minute to go. Just tell me, when is your test? When are you taking the OET test? Please pop that into the chat. December for Sophia. Okay, lots of people taking it in early December. Jotan's got a test coming up very soon, like in 4 days. Ifunanya is taking the computer-based tests on the 21st and 23rd. Interesting. Okay, a lot of people in December. Cool, nice. All right, it's just on 11 o'clock. Let's get started because we've got a bit to get through. Just let me share my screen with you. And I have to share the sound because we're going to focus on listening in today's sample class. Okay, it's loading up. I'm in slow motion there in the corner, which is weird. Cool, we can get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Jay. I'm one of the expert OET teachers here at E2 Language. Welcome to this sample listening class. I say sample because this is not a typical live class that we run twice a day, 5 days a week. This is kind of like an example one, just to show you how our live classes work, okay? And why they're actually very effective. So what we're going to do in today's sample listening class is we're going to look at what's coming up this week in E2 language for OET preparation. We're going to focus in on listening part A, B, and C. I'm going to talk to you about the task, like what you have to do, the name of the game. We're going to speak a little bit about the method for each of those tasks, or those subtests rather. Then we're going to do a little bit of practice, not much, but it'll give you a bit of a good feel for it. And then we'll finish by talking about some study tips and the best way to prepare for your OET test. Okay, so what's coming up this week on E2 language, or actually for the rest of October and into November? There'll be 2 to 3 live classes per day, 5 days per week. So that'll cover speaking, writing for nurses, writing for doctors, reading ABC, listening ABC, okay? So lots of live classes, in addition to the platform material, the methodology lessons, the feedback, the speaking mock test, the writing mock test, etc. So there's lots and lots on e2language.com. Okay, let's get started and look at and think about listening part A. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at the task. We're going to look at a method or a step-by-step approach to this particular task, and then we'll do some practice. So here's the task. What I'm going to do is disappear, and I'm actually going to play you the instructions that you'll hear on test day. So please listen and read along, because this is what you have to do on test day.
Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information you hear. Now turn over and look at the notes for extract 1. Extract 1, questions 1 to 12. You hear a GP talking to a patient called Daniel Anderson. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Okay, so that gives you a good feel for what you have to do in listening part A. So if we look here, let me get out my little drawing tool. Hold on 1 second. If we look here, you can see kind of like case notes with gaps, right? We have a patient, Daniel Anderson. We have presenting symptoms. So we have headings, and then we have dot points. And here we have a gap with number 1. So 2 weeks / something than usual, short of breath, cold, sore throat, recent history, last, . So it's pretty straightforward. What you'll be doing as a test taker is listening very carefully to a conversation between 2 people. Okay, it will be a dialogue between 2 people. And you'll be taking down notes or filling the gaps with words that are typically said, almost exclusively said by the patient. Okay, so there will be a medical professional and a patient. You'll be listening to what the patient says and putting in those words or short phrases. You'll also be listening to what the medical professional says because he or she will be guiding you through these headings and subheadings. Okay, cool. Pretty straightforward test, gap fill test, pretty straightforward.
Part A.
No, let's do this. Okay, let's focus on the method now. One of the most critical things you do in listening part A during the preparation time, when he said you now have 30 seconds to look at the notes, is do some prediction about what word or what type of word might fit in the gap, okay? So we'll do it together, but I'm just going to give you 15 seconds because we're doing half of it. We're just going to do half of a listening part A. I want you to look here and think what word or what type of word might fit here. Would it be a noun? Would it be an adjective? Would it be, a disease? Would it be, have a think, could be anything. Ready? This time we'll go quickly. So please predict in 15 seconds. Okay, so you didn't get much time there, but it gives you an idea. Please type into the chat for number 1, what sort of word could we expect here? What can we predict? What type of word? Or what? Just have a guess. Anything at all. Anything at all. Someone's saying a noun. Somebody's saying more. Safina's saying more, which is interesting. Sophia's just guessed the word stronger than usual. Yes, good. I like that, Sophia. Actually, what we're going to look for number 1, and that's a good guess, is we're going to be looking for an adjective, and it's going to be a more adjective or an adjective plus er, like stronger than usual, for example, or bigger than usual, or more prevalent than usual. So it's going to be, there's going to be an adjective in here, and it's called a comparative adjective. But you don't need to know whether it's called an adjective or a comparative adjective. You just need to predict that it's going to be one of those types of words, like stronger, bigger, more prevalent, whatever it is, okay? Number 2, what type of word can we expect here for number 2? Predict. Just have a guess, anything at all. I just want you to get your brain thinking. A number. Safina says a few. Some people are just guessing numbers like number 8 or number 4. Correct, yes. It's got to be a number, right? Because have a look, months. Last 3 months it could be, or last 7 months, or last 12 months. It could just be a number, okay? So we're expecting a number in number 2. Number 3, what do you think? Bad sore throat and have a cough. Symptoms, somebody's saying just symptoms, fever. Terrific. I agree. It's going to be some sort of ailment, right? Because we've got a sore throat and it's not going to be broken leg. It's probably going to be something related to a sore throat, right? Whatever it is. Cough, for example. Terrific. Again, have a look at this one, number 4. We've got another one of these types of adjectives here with more plus adjective. Now, the thing is, it's going to be a long adjective because it's not going to be more big, because you'd say bigger. It's going to be an adjective with several syllables, isn't it? So it's going to be an adjective, okay? Have a guess for number 5. This is a challenging one. Number 5 is a challenging. I couldn't guess anything. Okay, good. Some people are saying pattern, breathing normal, a normal pattern. That's a good guess. Nice. It could be something also that has like breathing normal when at home or at or in, for example. So it might have a preposition preceding it. What about number 6? What about number 6? Again, symptoms, some sort of symptoms relating to chest problems, for example. Terrific. All right, good. So the problem is there, as you saw from just having 15 seconds, you really are doing this very quickly, but it's a very powerful technique to use before you start listening. You really need to utilize that 30 seconds to do some prediction. You're not going to guess the answer, but you're going to get a feel for the type of word that you're going to be listening for, okay? And then when you hear that number, boom, you know it, for example. Okay. Let's do it. Let's put it into practice and see whether our predictions were close. Okay. Here we go. Let's do questions 1 to 6.
Hi, it's Daniel, isn't it?
Yes, Daniel Anderson. That's right. Hi, Dr. Hampton.
I haven't seen you for quite a while. What brings you in today?
Yeah, I probably should have come in before now.
Okay, well, that's fine. So how can I help?
Well, basically, over the last couple of weeks, I play football on Sundays, and a bit more than a couple of weeks ago, I was getting a bit more tired than I used to be. Like, I'd get out of breath in the game, I'd get puffed out. But more recently, it's been little things like walking up and down the stairs and stuff like that. That's got me a bit tired as well. So I was just wondering what's wrong with me, really?
Okay. When did you first start feeling poorly? Can you remember?
That's the thing. I had a cold, you see. Well, I thought it was a cold. I had a sore throat, and I was quite under the weather for that, but I've never really recovered since then.
And how long ago was that?
That'd be about a couple of months ago now.
Couple of months. Did we see you with that?
Well, so I made an appointment on the phone, but I didn't come in the end.
No, I didn't see you on the computer. So you just basically managed that yourself and...
Yeah, I thought it was getting better, but it's never really, I suppose that's never really gone away entirely. So maybe it was something more than a cold. I don't know.
Okay. What symptoms were you getting with that cold at the time?
Bad sore throat. My glands felt quite big as well. So I was just really tired, really, no energy.
Were you short of breath at that time during the cold?
Yes, but not as much now. That's why I've come in now, because it's gotten worse. It's got a bit more noticeable. But the cold symptoms have gone away now, pretty much. I still get a bit of a sore throat every now and again.
Right, okay. When you're at rest, do you get short of breath?
No.
No. Okay. Ever had asthma?
No, I've never had asthma or any sort of chest problems as far as I can remember. Nothing like that.
And do you have a particular diet? Are you a vegetarian or anything?
Okay. Just how do you think you went? Out of 6, just predict your score. What did you get? How confident are you out of 6? What do you think you'll get? 4, 4, 4, 5, sad face, 6, 5 or 6, 6 out of 6. Okay, people are pretty confident. Maybe missing 1 or 2. Okay, let's go through the answers. So a bit more tired, because you can't say tireder. If you wrote just more tired, that would be correct. Or if you wrote a bit more tired, that would also be considered correct. So number 1 was a bit more tired or more tired, okay? Number 2 was last couple of months. So in fact, yes, it's a number, but it was a word, wasn't it? It wasn't 2 months or 3 months. It was couple of months, he said. This one was a bit tricky. Number 3 was he said, really the answer would be, it's worth talking about how this is marked, actually. Listening part A is actually marked by an examiner. It's not marked by a computer. And the reason is because they do not take into account spelling. That means you can spell the word incorrectly and still get it right, which is good. And there is some variation in the answer, in the answer possibility. So for this one, for example, he said big glands, which sounds a bit weird, right? Bad sore throat and big glands. But if you write bigger glands or glands bigger, or even swollen glands would be considered correct by the examiner. So if you had anything around sort of bigger glands, swollen glands, that was correct. Number 4, we knew that we needed an adjective here, and we knew that we needed a long adjective with many syllables, because more, not noticeable, but more noticeable. Noticeable is correct for number 4. Now, number 5 was interesting because, in fact, it was the doctor that said at rest, not the patient. Typically, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be the patient that says the word or the short phrase. However, in this instance, it was the doctor who said it. And what's your breathing like at rest? And he said, yeah, pretty normal, something like that. Last one was asthma. So what is your score? Please pop it into the chat. What did you end up getting? Oh, nice. Gland big would be considered correct. Cool. 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 4, 2, 6, 6, 6. Pretty crazy though. Like it was pretty quick. Pretty quick. You really have to think on your feet, scribble down the answer. Cool. Remember on test day, you're going to get 2 of these. So there'll be 12 questions in the first one, and then you get another one. So you get 2 extracts with a different conversation with another 12 questions. But really, listening part A is pretty straightforward. You should get them all right or very close to all right. Okay, just a little time for an advertisement. If you are not yet an E2 language member, you should become one. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you should do 2 things. 1, subscribe to the channel, but also come across to e2language.com. You actually don't even need to worry about all the other YouTube videos. It's all on e2language.com. And there's lots of practice materials. There's 6 full practice tests. There's daily live classes. You can book tutorials. There's writing feedback. There's a mock test, etc. This mock test is really good. If you've never taken the OET test before, you have no idea what's going on, this is where you want to start. It's going to give you a full test experience. Plus, it's going to give you lots of great feedback so you know exactly what you're doing wrong so you can improve. If you have taken OET before and you weren't successful, you should also take this again because of the feedback. Okay, let's talk about listening part B now. So you've done your 2 listening part A's. Now you move on to listening part B. Listening part B, in fact, why not listen to it? Here we go. These are the instructions for listening part B.
Part B, questions 25 to 30. In this part of the test, you'll hear 6 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear people talking in a different healthcare setting. For questions 25 to 30, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. Now look at question 25.
Okay, so the questions are going to look like this, right? You're going to get 6 multiple choice questions. Each one will be different. This one is about a nurse in an emergency department. The next one might be a veterinarian talking to an owner of an animal. Next one might be a dentist talking to a patient about blah, blah, blah. Next one might be 2 nurses discussing whatever, okay? So they're very short. They're like 45 seconds long. Now, the method is, well, this part is read for you. So he will say, you hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. Okay, here's where you need to really understand who the speakers are going to be. Sometimes it will be a single speaker. Sometimes it will be 2 speakers. More often than not, it will be 2 speakers. So you hear a nurse talking to a doctor about a patient. You hear a nurse talking to a doctor about a patient. A nurse talking to a doctor about a patient, okay? This is where you really have to think, okay, who's talking to who? After the audio says, you hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. Now read the question. And then you get 15 seconds to read the question. Okay, let's go back, because what are we going to do in the 15 seconds before the audio begins? Well, in fact, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to quickly read through this. Okay, it's not long, right? And you can't memorize this stuff. And if you're trying to memorize it while listening, it's going to be problematic because ultimately, what you need to do is listen very carefully. My recommendation is this. This is the critical aspect of the question, okay? What you need to do is keep this question in mind while you listen very intently to the doctor and the nurse speaking. What did they agree to do? Okay, that's easy. If you just keep that part in mind while you listen, and then as soon as you hear what they agree to do, you then choose the correct answer option because it only takes a split second to read each of these. So let's try it. Ready? Again, what do the speakers agree to do? Keep that in mind.
Now look at question 25. You hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. Now read the question. So, who have we got here?
This is Adam King. He was brought in with a dislocated shoulder. He has Marfan syndrome, so we've seen him before with this. Last time he was here, the shoulder popped back in while we were putting his arm in a sling, and he was able to put it back in himself just by relaxing his muscles, but he's in quite a bit of pain right now, so he's having trouble calming down and getting those muscles relaxed.
Right, I see. So, do you want to start with some nitrous and some pain relief?
Yes, I think that's best, just until he calms down.
Okay, pop in your answer. What do you think the answer is? Okay, terrific. Almost everybody's got it. Well done. So let's take another look here at the transcript while we look at this. So let's read it again. You hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. So we have a female nurse, male doctor. What do they agree to do? Do they agree to put the patient's arm in a sling, wait for the patient to calm down, or treat the patient's pain to relax the arm? Just have a look through this transcript here. Tell me, what do they agree to do? In which part is there agreement? There is a certain phrase. Which phrase tells you about the agreement? What is the phrase that tells you about the agreement? Terena says it's the last part. I agree. In fact, let's just listen and read through this transcript at the same time.
Now look at question 25. You hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. Now read the question. So, who have we got here?
This is Adam King. He was brought in with a dislocated shoulder. He has Marfan syndrome, so we've seen him before with this. Last time he was here, the shoulder popped back in while we were putting his arm in a sling, and he was able to put it back in himself just by relaxing his muscles, but he's in quite a bit of pain right now, so he's having trouble calming down and getting those muscles relaxed.
Right, I see. So, do you want to start with some nitrous and some pain relief?
Yes, I think that's best, just until he calms down.
Okay, so there's lots of mention about calming down, but here the doctor says, we'll start with some nitrous and some pain relief. And she says, yes, I think that's best. That's what they agree to do. So the answer there is C. Treat the patient's pain to relax the arm is what they agree to do. Anyway, so the take-home message with listening part B is that in the 15 seconds you get to read the question, yes, read the question very carefully. What do the speakers agree to do, or what does the doctor decide, or whatever's going on? Or read the answer options, but then when the audio starts, really ignore the answer options and just listen for that question prompt, okay? Listen for that question prompt. Because when you listen very intently, then you can quickly glance at the answer options and go, okay, it's definitely C, for example. Okay, that's the best way. If you're listening while reading the answer option, this is going to screw you up. It's almost, actually, it is impossible to listen and read at the same time. So what's going to happen is you're going to be jumping back between the two and you might miss it. Okay, cool. If you want more practice of this, because I recommend that you get more practice, and I think the live classes that we do are excellent, join e2language.com. It comes with 6 full practice tests plus the daily live classes, twice a day, 5 days a week. Okay. Now we hit listening part C, and this one is tricky. Let's listen to the instructions. It's the same instructions you'll get on test day.
Part C, questions 31 to 42. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear health professionals talking about aspects of their work. For questions 31 to 42, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. Now look at Extract 1. Extract 1, questions 31 to 36. You hear an interview with Dr. Christine Erickson, who's talking about her research supporting non-fasting lipid blood tests for cholesterol. You now have 90 seconds to read questions 31 to 36.
Okay, that gives you a good understanding of what listening part C is about. Listening part C is also multiple choice questions. Let's have a look at the, I think, do you get 8? I can't quite remember. So what happens is you get 2, like listening part A, you get 2, basically 2 of the same test, but a different scenario each time. One will be a monologue, that is one person speaking. The other one will be an interview, that is one main person speaking and one person asking the questions, okay? So you get sort of 2 listening part Cs. I think there are 8 questions in each one. So in listening part B, you get single multiple choice, and then it moves to a completely different scenario, different speakers, etc., different settings. This is not. This is like a longer sort of monologue or interview, where you'll be. This is tricky stuff. Listening part C is a real trick. So you get 90 seconds preparation time, okay, to read through the questions and the answer options. And again, you can't memorize any of this. Really, what you want to be doing, though, is just reading the questions carefully and thinking about. Actually, let me explain what happens in my mind when I do this. This is what happens. So I have the 90 seconds prep time, and I read through. I'll take my pen, like for number 31, for example, here, what I would do is I would take my pen and I would underline opinion about fasting before blood tests. Okay, that's what you're listening for. What's her opinion about fasting before blood tests? Then I'd read 32. What does she say about the research on non-fasting? So I'd underline research, say about research, say about research. Number 33, what is her opinion on the difference between the results of fasting and non-fasting? So I'd underline the difference, for example. So there are critical core functions that you're listening for, okay? Then what happens is kind of crazy. So then the audio starts, and what's happening cognitively for you is you're going to be listening very carefully, but at the same time, you're going to be sort of flash reading, listening, and then you're going to be glancing and flash reading an answer option, listening, flash reading. And then hopefully one of them is like, oh, it's that one there. Okay, that's her opinion about fasting before blood tests. Okay. It's kind of tough because you're doing this sort of back and forth, listening, reading. A few critical things are worth pointing out here. One is that in the interview type of test, the interview is in many ways much easier because it's the interviewer who will prompt you to move between the questions, right? So the interviewer will say something, so, Miss Erickson, what do you think about fasting before blood tests. Okay. And so you know you're on question 31, and then she will speak and go blah, 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 blah. And you're doing flash reading, flash listening, flash reading, flash listening. And then it will turn to the interviewer again, and he'll say, so what is the science? What does the scientific literature suggest about non-fasting blood tests? Okay, so you know you're on question 32, and then you do it. So it helps you to make your way or navigate through the different questions. In the monologue, when there is just one person speaking, it's a little bit more challenging, but the speaker will indicate or signpost when he or she is changing from question to question. Okay, for example, let's say this was a monologue, one person speaking, and let's look at question 31. She would say something like, blah, 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 blah. Now, personally, what I think about this is kind of interesting. Okay, there'll be a slight gap, and then she'll go into it. Okay, so personally, what I think, or in other words, what's her opinion? Then for 32, she will say, so, I've done quite a lot of research on this about the non-fasting blood tests, and the literature says something quite interesting. Okay, so she's pushed you into question 32, and then boom, she'll go into her explanation. So you can sort of listen and navigate your way through. So there's that aspect of navigation between questions. Then the actual answering of the question is doing the flash reading, flash listening. Anyway, let me give you 60 seconds to read through. We'll just do 3 questions, and then we'll actually get stuck into it, okay? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, ready? Let's just do it. So please have a pen and paper ready. Actually, on your piece of paper, write 31, 32, 33, and then you're going to write A, B, or C next to it. Okay, here we go.
Hello and welcome to Health Research Roundup. For decades, people have been asked to fast before they have blood tests to check cholesterol levels. However, a new research report from an international group of experts suggests that this is not necessary. To discuss this research, my guest today is Christine Eriksson from Copenhagen University Hospital, who was a lead author of the study. Christine, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So why did we ever ask people to fast for blood lipids, for your blood fats?
Well, if you ask me, I don't really know, except for that's what we've been doing for so many years. I really tried to read the literature and find some very scientific evidence supporting that it is superior to just taking a random non-fasting blood sample as we do now. And I had problems finding the evidence. There's a lot of arguments people put forward for why you should use fasting versus non-fasting, but really solid evidence that is better, I can't find it.
So was this a tradition rather than science?
I think so, yes. I mean, you can ask me why did it start? I think that some of the early studies, the original publications way back, said that they used fasting samples and therefore everybody thought you had to do that without really thinking why. But those early researchers may have had good reason to do it that way, but there's nothing I've seen that said it had to be done that way. And there's all this evidence now from Canada and the US, 2 excellent studies, one in children and one in adults. And then we have a lot of studies from Copenhagen, and they all show that when you just look at people that eat and drink whatever they usually do, and you take a lipid panel, cholesterol, triglycerides, a very common fat in the blood, then they don't really change very much in response to when you have been eating.
So there is a difference?
Yeah, the difference is in millimoles per litre. So it goes up by about 0.3 millimoles per litre. However, in clinical practice, when you look at triglycerides, you're interested in whether it increases 1 or 2 millimoles, not 0.3 millimoles. So that's what's clinically relevant.
Okay. Tricky, right? This one's really moving fast. You're doing a lot of things with your brain. Okay. Just let's predict our score. What do you think you got out of 3? How many do you think you got correct? Okay, we've got some confident people in there. 2 or 3, 3. Safina says, I don't know. Somebody's just done a smiley face. Roji reckons 1. Okay, let's see. Before we look at the answers, let's sort of first of all focus on that method again. So you can see here. Wait. Let me get out my spotlight. You can see here the interviewer says, so why did we ever ask people to fast for blood lipids, for your blood fats? So here, we know we're on question 31. Here, the interviewer then says, so this was a tradition rather than science? So we know we've shifted to 32. And then here, so there is a difference. We know we've shifted to 33. So that's the interview style, pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to read and then select the answer for 31. Okay, this time we're reading, not listening. It's the same, but you're reading the transcript. Are you going to change your response or keep it? Good, nice. Okay, let's do the same for question 32. And the final question. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry, I have to do them one by one. Okay, question 31. So what is her opinion about fasting before blood tests? The answer is C. It is supported by convention, not data. She does not say it's only necessary in some situations. And she does not say it's superior to non-fasting blood tests. What she says in numerous occasions, but just in different words, is fasting before blood tests is supported by convention, not data. Okay, she says here, problems finding the evidence, lots of arguments put forward, but really solid evidence that is better, I can't find it. So no evidence or no data, supported by convention, not data. Okay, C for 31. 32. Okay, so what does she say about the research on non-fasting blood tests? C, it includes data from multiple countries. She mentions Canada, the US, and Denmark. Okay. She does not say the majority of studies come from Copenhagen. She does not say that more studies should focus on children. She does mention data from multiple countries or sources from multiple countries. So 32 is C. Question 33. What is her opinion on the difference between the results of fasting and non-fasting tests? She says the small differences are unimportant. She does say there are small differences, 3 millimoles per liter, for example. But she says they're unimportant. Okay. She does not say there's no difference. And she does not say there is a small but significant difference. That's the opposite. That's directly contradictory. She says there's a small insignificant difference. So the answer was C, C, and A. What did you get out of 3? Pop it into the chat for me. What was your score? Yeah, people are saying it's tough. Oh, nice. Lots of people got 3. Congrats. Can we mark underlined words in the trans? Well, you won't get a transcript in the answer sheet. Yes, you can. Absolutely, I recommend you do that actually, because again, you're going to be listening for something, differences, opinions, etc. So just mark that so your mind knows that it's listening for something. Well done. Lots of people got 3 or 2. Cool. Anyway, that gives you a brief idea of listening part A, B, and C. As you can see, listening part A, I think, is pretty straightforward. Still requires practice. You still want to maximize your scores in listening part A. Listening B gets a little bit trickier, but again, you want to focus on that question prompt there. What do the speakers agree upon? Or why does the doctor want to do this? Okay, that's what you're listening for. That's what you're listening for. Why does she want to do that? Why does she want blah, 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 because, bang, got it. Then you go to the answer options. Don't read and listen at the same time in listening part B. Listening part C, whoa, okay, you're doing 2 things. One, you're navigating your way through the questions using the signpost language, the prompts that the interviewer or the speaker will give you. So you're moving through, and then you're very quickly sort of listening, reading, moving on, listening, reading, moving on. That's as good as it gets. I hate to say it. That's as good as listening part C gets. It's a bit of a mess. I think it's a bit of a mess. Anyway, if you want to practice more, you can join the live classes on e2language.com, or you can use the 6 full practice tests with transcripts. That means that there are actually 12 listening part A's, there are 12 listening part C's, there are 36 listening part B's on e2language.com. What I recommend you do as well when you're preparing on e2language.com is study carefully, slowly and carefully. You're better off focusing on one question and doing it very carefully. That is reading the transcript, listening to it 3-4 times, rather than just doing lots of practice tests. Okay, you're better off doing deeper study rather than lots of practice. What's it? Quality, not quantity. Quality over quantity, or both would be ideal. Attend as many live classes as you can. Before the live class, do some practice on the platform. Make sure you watch the methods lesson so you're familiar with it. How long do you need to prepare for your OET? It depends on your current level of English, how much time you have in the day, etc. If you're a really gun English language speaker already, that is maybe your native like, or even a native English speaker, you still need to learn these methods and do the practice, etc. It'll take you a couple of weeks, I think, to learn the methods and submit some writing for feedback. If your English language skills, however, like your vocab, your pronunciation, your grammar, are inadequate or borderline, then you're going to need several months joining our live classes, and maybe even checking out e2school.com to build your grammar and vocab, etc. And if you have no idea, take our mini mock test. Cool. It's really, really good, and we're selling lots of these because they work. Cool. Any questions? Pop your questions into the chat. Hiba, can we erase and change the answer? Yes. Yes. Preet, how can we improve in part C? Is there any website? What is the right level? I recommend this really good website. What's it called? e2language.com. It's a good one. How can you improve listening part C? You have to do it, and you have to pay attention to the transcripts. If you did get the answers wrong, pay attention to how they, you've got 3 answer options there. 2 of them are going to be wrong. Why will they be wrong? They'll contradict what the speaker said, or they just won't mention what the speaker said, okay? One of them will mention what the speaker said, but in different words. It really does just require practice, that one. Tarane, how do I buy feedback for writing? Yeah, so there's a little thing called E2 Extras. Let me show you. I think my account's on the highest one, but let me show you how this works. If you want to upgrade your account for more writing feedback, click here on E2 Plus Extras. I'm on the highest account, the gold account, so I can't purchase any more, but there'll be a little thing here that says writing feedback or writing assessment bundle, I believe, and you just click buy now. It takes you to the payment gateway. And then what happens is here in feedback, you'll have the writing assessments that you submit through to the teacher, the writing intensive, which you can also upgrade and purchase, and the writing letter bundle. Okay, so that's how you do that. Hiba, how is 30-day E2 course? Yeah, it's a good place to start. The Express course, or the Express Plus, I recommend, is a great place to start. If you want more, you can always upgrade from there. Chlorine, how long, and plus, I should also say, Hiba, the mini mock, if you're just unsure about whether you're going to pass OET or not, you're much better off taking our mock test, which is like, whatever it is, $50 or something. $50 on that to find out you're not ready is much better than spending $500 on the actual OET to find out that you're not ready, right? Really, it's a little bit of an insurance policy. Chlorine, how long should an advanced student in English can take to prepare for the exam? Yeah, I'd say at least 30 days. I'd say go for the 30 days one. You don't want to screw this up. You want to get it right the first time round. It's very expensive, very time consuming, the OET. Another, people who fail a particular section of the test have to repeat the whole test or just the failed part. You'll need to check with your, whoever it is you're applying through, whether it's you'll have to find out yourself. I can't give that advice, just in case I give the wrong advice. So please find out. You can find out on immigration websites, or in Australia, it's the APRA organization, etc. Yes, you can find that. Jotan, can a HB pencil be used instead of a 2B for writing? You'll have to find out with your, you can email OET official. Hiba, do we get practice tests in the 30-day course? Yes, you get 6 full practice tests. So again, that's 12 listening A's, 12 listening C's, 36 listening part B's. Apute, can I buy additional mini mock tests? Not at the moment. Safina, I need a suggestion regarding writing for radiographers. Where can I find practice material? So Safina, you'll need to sign up to our, let me show you. We have a special, so when you sign up to E2 Language, you're signing up not as a doctor or a nurse, you're signing up to this OET Other Professions package. So doctors and nurses here, and then other professions here. Ifunanya's just confirmed that if it's the ECFMG, you need to retake the entire exam. Thank you, Tarane. Kayi, are there any courses that only focus on writing and speaking? Well, I mean, when you sign up to E2 Language, you get all of the different subtests, but you can just focus on writing and speaking. That is, you can just attend live classes for writing and speaking. You can buy the Speaking Intensive add-on. You can submit the writing feedback. Hiba, can you do more free live classes, please? I do it, I do it twice a week? I do it once on a Monday and once on a Friday. But I really do recommend our live classes that happen 5 days a week, twice a week. Anyway, I'm going to leave you there. Thanks very much for coming along. If you're watching this on YouTube, come across to e2language.com, sign up for free. You get a full practice test and you can join these 2 live classes that happen a week per week. And if you want more, you can upgrade your account.